Could LED therapy offer solar protection? Here's an idea that sounds back to front, that shining light on your skin before you head out into the sun could help precondition skin and help protect it from UV light exposure. And there's a small but compelling body of research suggesting that red light therapy could do just that. So let's talk about summer, because this is the time of year many people quietly shelve their LED device. The evenings get busy, you're outdoors more, and light therapy somehow feels like a winter thing, something for the darker months when your skin needs a lift. I'd like to push back on that. Summer is when your skin faces the most UV, and it turns out that might be exactly when a consistent LED routine earns its place. There's research, early but compelling, pointing to the idea that red and near-infrared light may help prepare skin to cope with sun exposure, rather than only repairing it afterwards. If that holds, then packing your device away in June is the last thing you'd want to do. Let me show you where this comes from. The most direct evidence comes from a pilot study by Barolet and Boucher, published in Lasers in Surgery and Medicine in 2008. Their approach took a group of volunteers and treated one area of skin with pulsed red LED light at 660 nanometers across several sessions over 1 to 3 weeks, whilst an equivalent area got nothing at all. Then they exposed both to controlled doses of UVB, the wavelength behind sunburn, and compared how the skin reacted. The pre-treated skin held up better. Redness reduced by more than half compared with the untreated side. A reduction at that level showed up in 85% of participants, and the average drop in redness sat at just over 40%. In some participants, they estimated an effect loosely comparable to an SPF of 15 and less of the post-inflammatory pigmentation that can linger long after the redness has faded. This was a small exploratory study, and Barolet is careful to say so. But the direction of the finding is what makes it worth your attention. The word the researchers use is preconditioning. The thinking is that a mild, well-tolerated dose of light nudges skin cells into a kind of defensive readiness, so that when the UV arrives, the machinery for coping is already switched on. And Barolet points to something in nature to explain why this might exist at all. Early in the morning, sunlight is rich in visible and infrared light, whilst the harsher UV peaks around midday. So it's possible our skin evolved to read that early morning light as a signal, a cue to prepare for the stronger radiation coming a few hours later. Light therapy may allow us to tap into a protective mechanism the skin already has. By harnessing solely red and near-infrared wavelengths through LED technology, not only can you take advantage of the beneficial effects of light therapy for skin rejuvenation whilst eliminating potentially harmful UV rays, you can also take your treatment at a time to suit you. A decade later, in 2018, Barolet came back to the theme from a different angle, this time in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology. This was a split-face study in people with melasma, that stubborn, sun-driven facial pigmentation that's notoriously hard to shift. Using pulsed near-infrared light, he saw pigmentation fall on the treated side. But the observation I find most striking was almost an aside. He noted the light seemed to precondition the skin, helping it build resistance to future sun exposure. The same idea surfacing again in a completely different setting. There's one more thread worth pulling. In both studies, the light was pulsed, delivered in sequential bursts rather than a steady beam. Barolet describes it as being a little like Morse code. He's long argued that how the light is timed shapes how the skin responds, which is a nice reminder that the finer details of light delivery are as important as wavelength and dosing. So where does this leave you, practically? First, to be completely clear, none of this is a reason to reach for your SPF any less. Sunscreen and sensible sun habits stay exactly where they are. What this research hints at is something that could sit alongside them. The possibility that a steady LED routine, kept up through the summer rather than abandoned, may help your skin meet the season in better shape. The evidence is early and the studies are small, so I'm sharing it as a promising finding rather than a conclusive fact. But it's a signal pointing in a wonderful direction, and one I'll be watching closely. If you've kept your light therapy going through the warmer months, I'd love to know whether you've noticed a difference. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.